All right, we're going to talk about effective response through integrated planning, and we'll all know what that means, integrated planning. It's kind of a really bad, it's a good idea. It's a tough kind of generic word. All right, so we'll talk about planning, training, and exercises. A bunch of you mentioned both this morning. We said, what do we want to get out of today? Talking about training and exercises. The challenges, training and exercises each individually. About a third of the people listed one or the other or both as one of the challenges, like training and exercise. So this is where we'll delve into that a little bit, probably not nearly enough. I would love to do a whole day workshop on just training and exercises. But please, again, we really need to learn from you all and raise your challenges here. So first, we will hear from our characters, and let's hope the tech works here.
Hi all, we're heading into our 4th hour of this incident and are going to get this briefing started. Mike, what do you have for updates on ETA to restore water?
I have great news. The blockage in the drainage pipe causing the flood has been fixed. We will also be restoring the water to the 3rd and 4th floors within the next 15 minutes.
That's great to hear. I am so glad we didn't have to move or evacuate patients during this incident, but we need to address cleanup and repairs ASAP to avoid any mold issues. Connie from Communications, any updates on communications with staff, family, and the media?
We have communicated with staff, but there were rumors going around that the 1st and 2nd floor water was impacted as well. We deployed a communications team to speak directly with units, but I'd like to note this for the after action for more education on communications during incidents. We have also reached out to families via email, no significant concerns there.
Thank you, Connie, for bringing up internal communications. I am going to note that for our after action debrief and ensure this makes it onto the improvement plan.
On that note, Candy, I've heard staff talking about how our quick hits training helped them recall what to do in an incident like this, so we should do more of those.
Thanks, Mike. Make sure you write down those thoughts so we can capture them during the hot wash. Great brief, everybody. To summarize, we have the drain issue resolved and are currently working on cleanup and mold mitigation. Our communication plan is actively evolving and we are making efforts to control misinformation. We have identified several items for the debrief. If there are no other questions, let's plan to meet at the next operational briefing, which is scheduled for 1800. How do you feel like this response operation is going? Is there anything you need from me?
I think we've done fine so far in this response. Our plans are strong. I have a couple of comments and questions that have come up to review during our hot wash, but I know I'd like to get more training in emergency preparedness and response.
That's great feedback, Mary. And thanks for keeping a list to bring up during the hot wash. I agree training is essential, and so are mock drills and other exercises. Hang on a second. I'm getting a text message from the emergency department.
Okay, so as they talk about training and exercise, what did we see there that relates to this unit? Training, exercise. So like somebody said, I'd love the quick hits trainings are great. What about people saying, hey, they started to say, wait, started to raise issues right during the middle of the response. Say, great, bring it up during the hot wash, right? Or that'll be great for the after action report. How does that relate to training, right? So in the incident, during the incident or an exercise, we'll identify those gaps, right? A few of you talked about wanting to identify gaps. We'll put them in a report, and that's where we figure out what to do in training, right? So it all becomes a cycle. Remember Steve talked about POETI at the beginning. So we have a few throughout this course, gems from the Department of Homeland Security, from FEMA, that we try to apply in like a common sense way to healthcare, right? We often talk about plans, right? Everyone, a lot of you in your assessment questions when you registered, updating the plans. A lot of challenges around making the plans meet those compliance and regulations. And then we talk about training and exercise. It's a big part of our role in preparedness, right? You have requirements to do training, you have requirements to do exercise. And then this middle part, the O and the E, is something that can get missed, though. If we're always talking about planning and training and exercising, what about organizing people, systems, and making sure we have the equipment. And actually, the example of the water jugs was one. We can write a plan, and we think we have a plan, and then if a plan is, do we bring in more water? Do we store water on site? Well, we've got to organize I guess water would be the equipment there. And the organizing is now we've got to cycle it out. Like there's this other thing that we have to do to maintain the equipment, which is just simple water jugs. Or here, this picture is someone in a PAPR, right, for a decontamination in a hospital setting. There's a lot going on there around maintaining the equipment, replacing it, doing fit testing, and all of these things. So it's more than just plan and then train and exercise. We need to plan, organize, equip, train, and exercise. So I always find this helpful because it helps surface the sheer amount of work that it takes to do your roles. It's already enough on the planning and training and exercising, and then let's remember this other piece, which of course hopefully we have some people helping us with these things, even if it's just one good buddy. So that's the point here. And then we have evaluate, improve. We have an activity later in this module, and oftentimes when you see POETI, if in emergency management, if anyone was to go on and take deeper courses, it usually doesn't have the last E or ever have an I. So again, not my fault, that's Department of Homeland Security that kind of just lops it off, and Health and Human Services as well, and just say POETI, just P-O-E-T-E, and this kind of stop there. But it's a useful planning tool to think about work ahead. Like if you're going to update a plan, then what do you need to do? You need to organize and equip the plan. Otherwise, it's just a nice, fresh piece of paper, a new binder, and you won't be able to enact it. We asked you how you focus your training and exercises, so these were your answers. Obviously not all of them, but we categorized it. 19 of you said basically some combination of, well, you use your HVA or your hazard vulnerability analysis to focus your training and exercise. Or just a gut check, what's the most likely event? Someone, I think I put it on here, hot topics. Someone, I think they said hot topics such as cyber, that's a hot topic after CrowdStrike and things like that. So it could be the quick gut check, risk assessment, or what's hot. I would love to hear anyone comment on how do you use your risk assessments or kind of like most likely events to focus your training and exercise? Anyone? I won't make you make up for this one. How do you decide what you're doing? Do you do the same training every time and exercises all the time and you never change them? Probably not, right? Yeah, in the back?
A lot of times that happens from a current event that happened.
A current event that happened. Do you have an example? And then maybe not.
Violent shooter happening all the time.
Yeah, so a current event that happens not at your facility out there. And why does that work?
Because I think staff have interest at that time and realize that they could be part of that.
So it gets that gut like it feels. It helps a little bit with the whole, well, it doesn't happen here. So I can relate to it. Yeah. Anyone else? Where do you get ideas for where you, what scenario you use for an exercise this year?
I try to look for areas where people are complacent.
Areas where people are complacent. So kind of the opposite. We're not thinking about it. So maybe it's time to shake something loose there. Yeah, right. With the muscle, we haven't exercised that muscle enough. So it's time to exercise that. Yeah, we saw that a lot after COVID, where the team I was on, we felt pretty prepared for mass casualty. We had been, pretty well prepared around all of our partners, and then after all the turnover and just kind of not training and exercising for a couple years during the pandemic, it came back and say, well, we better start with that one again. Right. Facility needs, each of you has really specific facility needs. So you might focus there. Someone has memory care, for example, so they have some different considerations that you train on. Some folks do a regular schedule. Who works around employee in-service training? So kind of hook on to something, I won't make you talk, but hook on to something it's already going on. So I don't have to collect people and add time to their schedule. Let me insert myself to something that's already happened. Yeah, lunch and learns, that kind of thing, like something small, quick hit. Obviously regulatory guidance. Managerial conversations with other methods. Does anyone want to speak to that, whether you wrote that or not? Just informal conversations with management. What are the concerns there? It helps get that buy-in to see, where we direct our training and exercises. Has anyone seen this before? Some people might have seen the progressive approach to training and exercise. So some of the resources in your binder have our link to the Homeland Security Exercise and Evaluation Program, or HSEEP, which again, federal guidance, how we can do training and exercises. We not required by any means for healthcare. Some healthcare facilities do use those as a tool, but it can be quite elaborate with a lot of forms. But what's useful here is the idea of a progressive approach, right? So the light blue are discussion-based. We're going to start with exercises that we're not doing something real, right? That's where you get your tabletop exercise. We're not doing anything. Does anyone have an example of a plan that you've updated recently that you might exercise? Elopement. Okay, so you have updated a plan for elopement, and so if it's changed a bit, we wouldn't start with a full-scale exercise on that, right? A full-scale exercise is operational. People are moving around. They're doing real things, maybe sending. A full scale is what ended up, it was a cycle. Because of a full scale exercise, you realized you needed to update the plan. Right, so going back to that Poeti, it's actually a circle like when Steve showed it, yeah. So you're going around the circle. So you did the full scale, you're like, whoa, a lot of gaps there. I need to update the plan now, right? Yeah, so in the reverse. But the next time maybe you do a discussion based and say, now we have the plan that's been updated, we're gonna talk about it first. Before we go back up to a drill, which is a short, right? Maybe we'll just test the communication aspect of the elopement plan, just one little quick thing. But you're doing real things, you're sending real messages, and then full scale. These take a lot of work. That's the idea. It's like how much time does it take to do your full scale exercise, to plan it? Too long. Months, right? Yeah. So you want to make sure that you have folks that are ready, a little bit ready before we start there. So that's the progressive approach. Right. So you might alternate your discussion based and then full scale on a particular thing, right? How far out do folks have an exercise schedule? Anyone plan out? A year.
We do it quarterly.
So you have a quarterly exercise schedule and you're thinking a year out. Yep.
Sometimes 2.
Sometimes 2 years. That's good. Does anyone else go as far as 2 years? Who goes 1 year? I'm not going to call on you. 1 year? 1 year out? 6 months? Anyone? Anyone go more than 2? Say again?
Just flying by.
Just doing what we can. It's hard. Again, it's a lot. I mean, you're wearing multiple hats. It's a lot to think out a training and exercise schedule that far out. Certainly a year is great. The idea here is you could think of doing something more than a year, just rough sketches, thinking 2 to 3 years out. If you were, that would be called your multi-year training and exercise plan, or the federal government now, particularly in the public health space and other first responder space, will call it an integrated preparedness plan. So an integrated preparedness plan is saying, I'm not just going to make a plan for training and exercises, but I'm going to link it to the plans, organizing, and equipping that I'm doing. So trying to think about, if I'm updating my elopement plan, is there new equipment or new organizing of teams needed? And then that might be the thing I'm going to train and exercise on. The idea here, the sticky note, we're training our people and we're exercising the program, right? We're here in a training. I'm individually hoping to boost your confidence, right? Mike, you as an individual might learn more. Melanie, you as an individual might learn more. But when we're doing an exercise, we're not looking at the individuals. We're saying everyone here, we're trying to increase the capability of the whole organization, right? So just to exercise your Poeti muscle, we have an activity, and we'll do the short version. So in your participant guide behind the tab, we have a little scenario for you to read. On page 43, you have a scenario, and we can come up with a plan, something to organize, equipment, training, and exercise. Don't spend too much time on this. We want at your tables, just try to fill out one thing for each of the Poeti elements based on this scenario, okay? So go ahead. Just want to walk around. Okay, everyone, let's pull it back. A few of you said, this is us right now, we're dealing with this, or we just updated our plan. This feels really familiar, so this activity tends to really pull people in. Is this feeling familiar? Yeah. So again, hey, any of our tools, we've designed them, you could use them for like any training or any planning tool in your facilities. That would be awesome. But for now, let's go just real quickly. Who has, and we're going to try to do a mic, for the first P, planning, would like to share what you put in the planning box. Just one plan. Raise your hand. Be brave. Whoever volunteers to be on mic right now gets to get lunch first. Anyone? Oh, here, go ahead.
I'll do this one because we didn't make it past it. Planning, we talked about facility plan and layout of the actual building. Do entrances need to be changed, locks, things like that?
Wow. Yeah.
The security of the building, a response and plan system. So if you're still having, it's going to take time, right? So you have to develop a interim response system.
Okay, great. Yeah, right away. Look at that. That one thing you came up with plans, which actually triggered you to talk about some organizing and equipping. Even you mentioned doors and locks, right? And then because of that, we need an interim. So right away, you're already into a multi-year kind of scenario here. You might not be ready to do a full-scale exercise with your new doors for more than a year from now. Awesome.
But I think probably the most important thing is staff training on how to handle the situations.
Yeah, so you saw some, and that can be immediate. The T down there, the staff training, you can do some immediate things there. Who would like to, something you came up with the O for organizing that wasn't mentioned yet? Or go deeper on something she mentioned, anyone?
Quotes on equipment.
Getting quotes on equipment. Yeah, so identifying the equipment, I mean getting quotes to buy it? To procure it and install it, right? Not just get the
As
stuff.
well as, like you said, if you don't have security, you're gonna have to get a security guard or what's that, staff.
Oh, so if you don't have security, someone in this room shared that something like this happened or was a concern, and as a result, they added security to the team. Yeah. So then. Now you have new personnel. You're going to go back around. You're never going to be done. You're never going to get out of this. The Poeti here. It's going to kick you back to make some plans. What about equipment? Any equipment we didn't mention yet? Anyone? This half of the room. Give me one. Cameras. And
Kill switch on the door. Is it kill switch?
a kill switch for the door. Yep. Great. And then training. So training for staff, de-escalation. Anything else? Any other training? Anyone come up with another one?
Training on operating the equipment.
Training and operating the new equipment. Thank you. That's why it's kind of falling after the E in that cycle. Yeah. So we've got a kill switch. How do we turn it off? And what does the plan say about when to flip it and all of that? And then exercises. What exercise might we do? A drill, full scale? Anyone?
Work up to a full scale.
Sorry, say again?
Work up to a full scale.
Work up to a full scale. Go ahead.
We like to do table talk exercises and just walk through everything. Call different departments.
Call in different departments. So starting with your tabletop exercise and maybe play this scenario. Yeah, yeah, that's great. One thing that often comes up in this discussion too is how long would this all take if we kind of did it clean and we did all of our Poeti? How long would it take to kind of complete the circle for all of those things we talked about?
That's a very
It's a variable. Why?
ways of resources available.
Yep.
It's gonna be easier to get an alarm company to come out and do cameras
Okay.
if you live in a big city versus a small.
Sure, you're waiting for the vendors to come in.
Have the wait, is your census gonna allow for the extra expenses?
Yep, do we have to wait so we can pay for the expenses? It's also expensive maybe to do exercise, you have to pull people off. The other variable is sometimes some people say it can happen really fast. In this scenario, where you have leadership and like you have a lot of attention and everyone is agreeing as a high priority, except for, if you're waiting for vendors, but some things can happen real fast when everyone's bought into really agreeing that it's top of mind, right? And then that means what? Other things that you had on your multi-year plan are getting pushed off. So that's why I'm a fan of thinking even a rough sketch of multiple plans out, because when something like this happens and everyone says this is real important, we can say, well, we've got the multi-year plan. I agree this is important. Which things are we going to take off our plate for this year and push by a year to do this now? Right? So we get, again, all on the same page. Really helping to surface the hard work that you all do with wearing those multiple hats. And the more we surface that in those conversations, well, you've got the ear of leadership in this scenario. Other people have said in this scenario, how do you know this is really that important? What made this that important? It's not here in this scenario necessarily, but is it reactive to everyone to jump on this? Just having that conversation. Is this the thing that we need to move to the top of the priority? Is it really more important than the other things we thought were a high priority yesterday? Maybe it is, but it's a good question to ask. Is this jumping up now because we're just reacting or because we actually recognize it's an issue that needs to be moved forward? Okay, I have a short little video, just really short, before we go to lunch, which should be out there. Rory, do we have lunch out back there yet? All right. Don't forget to meet people. And when you come back, you'll sit somewhere new, okay, after lunch.
Hang on a second. I'm getting a text message. Oh man, the ED is saying there's street closures, which is affecting response times and access to facilities. We need more information. I hadn't heard about any other issues in the county.
What happens next? Come back later to find out.